Hare Krishna. So Hare Krishna, everyone. So welcome all of you for today's session, those who are in person and many of you are joining us online. Thank you for joining this evening. So today we're going to discuss a very important topic, the power of habits. So habit is such a powerful thing that it can make it or it can break it. So we'll discuss some important aspects and dive deep into the topic. So before that, let us start with the prayers. So this session is dedicated to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder and acharya of this worldwide Hare Krishna movement. So what we'll be discussing today, it will be from the teachings of Srila Prabhupada and from... So we'll discuss some important aspects. So we'll start with the prayers. So please join me in chanting the prayers. You can fold your hands, see on the screen and chant along with me. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena. Today will be from the teachings of Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashadadeshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So habits, we are talking about the habits. So as the very common saying there, man is a creature of habit. So we all have the habits. Some habits are good and some habits are bad. So good habits, we say it can make it, and bad habits can break it. Right. So there's a lot of quotes, like one very famous quote about the habit is, old habits die hard. Srila Prabhupada tells one story about this. So there was a person, by profession, he was a thief. So it was his habit to, whenever he finds any opportunity, he will just steal the things. So one time, he joined one group of some saintly people, those who are going on a pilgrimage. So though he was in a good association and on a trip to some pilgrimage place, but still because of his bad habit, it's not easy to just give up the habit. Just because you change your environment, you change your association, suddenly your habit doesn't change. So when the night in a camp, when everybody was taking rest, so this person, naturally, he wakes up at the middle of the night because that was his lifestyle. When the whole world is sleeping, he will work. So he wakes up in the night and then he started checking out all the bags of all the passengers there, all the travelers. And then suddenly he realizes that, I'm on a trip to pilgrimage. I should not be doing this. So somehow he was trying to convince him, but because of that strong urge and that habit, he couldn't control himself. And then there was a lot of dilemma and confusion in his head, and whether I should do it or not. So there's a strong urge and temptation from within. But intellectually he's trying to convince himself that I should not be doing this. Finally, resolved to, he goes and check the bag. So he picks one bag, goes there and keep it there, and then take another bag from other side and keep it here. So like that, everything was matched up. And in the morning when everybody woke up, there's a lot of commotion in the whole group. Everybody is finding their bag and everything was misplaced. And of course, there's a different context that Prabhupada tells this story, the power of association, that how even a thief also in the association of the saintly people, he gets some sense that I should not be doing this. But still point is, though you are in a good association, but still it is not easy to give up your old habit. So that is how it is said that old habit die hard. It's not easy. So we all have the habit. We are all creature of habits. Our life is all about habit. Whatever we do, they're habits. We get up certain time in the morning. It's a habit of getting up. Habit of sleeping on what time. Habit of eating on certain time. Habit of eating certain food stuff. So everything is about habit. So today we'll be discussing, but before that, we'll just see some more quotes. So it is said here that habits are like soft, cozy beds, easy to get in, difficult to get out. This is the nature of habit. So we can form the habits, but the nature of the habit is it's easy to form the bad habits, but very difficult to get out of the habit. And same goes with the good habit also. You cannot get out of the good habit also, but problem is it's not easy to form the good habits, right? So they say that first you form the habits and your habits forms you later. So that is why the Shastra also says, Kaumaram Achret Pragnam. Right from the very beginning of life, we should start cultivating some good practices in our life, some good habits. There is another famous saying, they say, habit at 3 and habit at 80 is almost same. It means whatever you cultivate in the beginning of your life, you continue to be with those habits. If you don't work on those habits, then you continue when you are 80-year-old, still you will be doing the same thing. Right? And this is the nature of habit. So this is why it is said here, cultivating a habit is like plowing a field. It's too much of hard work. It's not an easy thing. Right? So before you realize that you have got the habit has got you. So these are a few quotes. So let us understand this, the nature of habit is. So it is said, this habit is such a strong thing to change. As we said, the old habit die hard. If you remove the H from the habit, then it remains a bit. It doesn't go. And when you remove A from the habit, still remain a bit. And you remove the B also, still it remains. The habit, it's not difficult, not easy to change and give up completely. So today, in today's session, we'll be learning, is there any way that we can holistically, very, positively, we can develop some good habits? Okay, so let us, so for that, let us understand what is a habit. So what is a habit? Let me ask the audience here, those who are in person and online. Just say your answer, what comes to your mind. What is the habit? What do you call a habit? Repeatedly doing some activity. You're saying something? Something what we do repeatedly? Yes.
Whatever we can do unconsciously, regular.
Okay. So habit means you did not to put your conscious efforts. Still you do. Right? Like nowadays people have the habit of checking their mobile phones. So then you know to do this consciously, like without their conscious this thing, the hand goes in the pocket, you take out, you check some notification again, and another 1 minute again you will check. Right? So this is the pattern of habit. Let's understand from this. So any action which is performed repeatedly, you keep doing that, it creates an impression, either good or bad, whatever. So if it creates some kind of a good impression, oh, I did this and I enjoyed it. So that impression is being created. And with the repeated action, this impression is being created, and then it will send you a proposition. So this is how a habit is formed. This is how it is formed. You do a repeated action to create an impression, and that impression itself will send you the proposition to do it again. So like say, for example, somebody who smokes. So initially he may not have some enjoyment, but he repeatedly keeps doing, and there is some kind of impression is being created. He says, oh, I feel high. Like people when they drink, they might feel something. So this impression is being created, and those impression will send the proposition then. Right? They'll say, okay, why don't you drink today? You are feeling low. So you should feel high. So how to feel high? Okay, go and drink, go and smoke. So like that, these habits are formed. So either way, either it is a good habit or bad habit, but this is the pattern that habits are being formed. Right? So it is just like, so our choices are constantly being recorded. Like in a Google, when you constantly go and watch any site, like say sports, you are a sports person. So every time you are very fond of sports, so every time you just keep searching sports something. Now you come to some session, Gita live session here, and we say, okay, you should explore some spirituality also. You go back and you type SP to search spirituality, but there is already impression is being created there. So as soon as you type SP, what it will propose? Sports. This is how the nature is. So it's not easy to change the habits like that. Right? So it is auto pop based on your previous the selections recorded, it will come automatically at pop. So these are the habits. So in fact, they say that if you do anything repeatedly for 21 days, you start building the, forming the habits. So these are all some tips that we can understand. Either you do the bad thing repeatedly for 21 days, or you do the good thing, you will form the habit. Right? This is how it will work. So this famous person, this famous author, the famous book called The Power of Habits, it's Charles Ding. So he says the difference between who you are and who you want to be is what you do. So you have to make the right choices, and gradually it will become your habit, and then you will become what you want to be. Right? So yeah, it's the same thing, that how, there is a cue. So it is taken from this book, The Power of Habit. This is the habit loop. There is a cue. Cue is like kind of a trigger. So something is triggered. Say, for example, if we have to get up early in the morning, 5 o'clock. So there has to be some trigger. What is the trigger? Say, for example, some alarm is the trigger. So 5 o'clock, as soon as your alarm rings, it's a trigger. And then you get up at that time and you repeat it for a few days. So there is a trigger, then there is a routine, and there is a reward. Reward is you might feel good, like, oh, every day I'm going to temple at 5 o'clock, attending Mangala Aarti, or something you are doing like that. I get up early in the morning and I study for 1 hour. So it's a kind of reward for you. So when you get the reward, of course, we are not getting the detail. There is an example of this mouse. Say that how a rat, they had done some experiment. So there is some kind of a cage is being created, and there is other side of this thing. One chocolate is kept, and then they make a sound, and then initially this rat doesn't know what is the sound, and he tried to explore that what is the sound. So gradually he gets trained, his mind gets trained. Whenever there is a sound, this thing is opens, and I can walk in here. When I walk in there, there is a chocolate. So it takes few days for him to understand all this, for a rat. But once he understands that as soon as there is this kind of a sound, it means they're opening it and I can access to the chocolate. So there is a trigger, there is a routine. He goes, come, and then he says there is chocolate. So then it becomes habit, like that. So anything which you repeatedly do with some trigger, and it will become your form. So initially you might need some triggers, but later once it becomes your habit, like getting up early in the morning, 5 o'clock, you can get up just like that without any alarm. So this is the habit, right? So now in the habit, what happens? We always look for the reward. Reward is for us, it is like a pleasure. Now there are different kind of pleasures in the world. So there's something called the flat pleasure. Flat pleasure means you eat a rasgulla. So there is some pleasure in this. We cannot say there's no pleasure in rasgulla. But sometimes you can hype it to beyond the proportion. So rasgulla means like something, right? This is amplified pleasure. So most of the things in this world, what we look forward like pleasure, reward, it is more of like amplified pleasure. There's no true so much pleasure. There's some pleasure is there, but mostly what we experience is amplified pleasure, wherein our mind plays a very, very significant role. So this mind plays a very significant role in forming the habits. So we'll talk about that also. So now let us talk about this. So anyway, we understood just basics about the habit, what is habit, how you form the habit and all that. Now we are more interested in giving up the bad habits and probably cultivating some good habits. So let us understand this. So now these habits are also the 3 different levels of bad habits. What are the 3 different levels? Some habits are, we can call them simple bad habits. Like some people have the habit of chewing the nails when they talk. It's a very simple thing. It doesn't harm anyone, but it doesn't look good, right? And some people you will see like their working table is like messed up. It's not arranged. When they get up in the morning, they don't make their bed, right? So they're not really very serious bad habits, but they're bad habits. So one level is simple bad habits. Second level is serious bad habits. What are the serious bad habits? Something which is little, it will create some problem to yourself and to others as well. Like sometimes people have this habit of, they don't know how to work with others, how to get along, inability to work with others. It's a little kind of, inability and they don't know. So there's a trouble for himself and for the other person also. And what are the gray bad habits? Third one is gray. What falls in the grave? Like somebody is really very criminal minded kind of a person. He goes, steals, he really get into physically with someone, fighting, beating someone up, and all kinds of things. That is very, very grave. It will create a lot of problem. So these are the different levels of the habits. So now let us understand this. So Krishna explains in this 18th chapter, he says, Vishendriya samyogat yattadagre amratopamam pariname vishameva tassukham rajasam smritam. So we're talking about the rewards. Now these rewards are also different kind of rewards. Something called the pursuing some kind of happiness in the mode of passion. So the happiness in mode of passion, the nature is it is nectar in the beginning, poison in the end. So something you get immediate pleasure out of something, like say for example smoking or drinking, or like some youngsters, the young blood, they bike like on or speeding or something like that. So they might have some fun in that, doing that. So it is like pleasure in the beginning, nectar in the beginning, but poison in the end, right? So that this kind of happiness or this kind of pleasure is very, very dangerous. So Krishna wants that you should be careful. We should not go for some immediate pleasures because it will form a habit, like checking the mobile every time. And it might give some kind of pleasure for you or some kind of a trigger. But while eating, you're checking the mobile phone. So it's okay, it doesn't harm at that time. But last time also we were talking about it is creating some patterns, right? So you are learning how to be distracted while doing something. So now eating and checking the mobile, it doesn't really harm, but you are building the pattern. So anytime you do something, you want to do something else also. So when you are working also, you are tempted to check your mobile phone. So these kind of habits are dangerous habits. So we create the patterns, the impressions. Okay, it gives me fun. When I'm working, I'm eating, I should watch the mobile, check the mobile. So one should learn how to be very. So that is why Krishna says, Ekaha Kurunandana. You should be like one pointed attention. We should learn this. Either mentally speaking, or if you want to practice any kind of a spiritual thing, you should learn how do we one pointed attention on what you're doing. That helps. Okay. So let us look at this now. There are some symptoms. So as we're talking about, there's some immediate or temporary happiness and there is a permanent happiness. So what is this temporary happiness is? It depends on external. This is nature. Last for a short duration, pain at the end, like nectar in the beginning and poison at the end. Same thing. And there is a horrible side effects of all those things. You can enjoy. Somebody smokes, he can enjoy. That time nothing happens. But in the long run, in the due course, he may develop some serious and severe disease, some cancer or something like that. And it is insatiated. You do something, you feel some little pleasure, but you are never satisfied. So this kind of temporary happiness. Right? So don't go for this kind of happiness and don't create the habits for such things. In the same time, there is a permanent happiness, which is first of all independent, they last forever, satiated. Right? So these are different symptoms. The point is, in the beginning, you may not have the fun to do all this permanent kind of thing, but still you should know that what kind of habit, like say for example, getting up early in the morning, simple habit. You may not like it. It might be painful. In the winter season, everybody likes to sleep 4 or 5 o'clock. When somebody asks you get up at that time, it might be painful, but it will last forever. So it is poison in the beginning, nectar in the end. So in the beginning, those kind of things will not be very pleasurable, but later they'll give you the good returns. Okay, so these are some basics about the habits. Now let us understand about. So our scriptures, especially Srimad Bhagavatam, it talks about the bad habits. It categorized in the 4 items. All kinds of bad habits will fall in one of these items in some way, either gross or subtle. Okay, so technically it is called Striya, Shuna, Pana. So it says gambling, or you can remember Gimi, Gimi. Gambling, intoxication, meat eating, and illicit sex. They're all bad habits. Now we'll see this modern culture. Everyone is into all this. Intoxication is very common. Meat eating is very, very common. Even this illicit relationship is becoming very common. And gambling is also nowadays becoming common. They're all bad habits. They fall in the category of which category they'll fall? Simple, serious, or grave? They're all grave bad habits. And unfortunately, the whole civilization, modern civilization, is into these habits. So they're all into grave bad habits, very dangerous. Right? So let us understand that how do we break these habits? So few simple steps. Let us understand this. So this is called the 3S formula. 3S you can remember. What are the 3S? Take some small, simple steps to help yourself. So what happens, sometimes people don't understand. This is called technically progressive overloading. So somebody wants to develop some habit or change the habit. So suddenly they come to some session, they listen, they get inspired, fired up, and they say, okay, tomorrow I'll change. So 2 days they can probably change also. Like the New Year resolution is famous, right? New Year resolution stays for 1 week. And later, next year again, they take the resolution that this time we should complete the last year resolution. That will be the New Year resolution. Like that, right? So it doesn't work because probably people doesn't understand the mechanism how to do this. So this progressive overloading works. What is this progressive overloading? Small, simple step. So there this wrestler, his name is Mayo in Greece. And he won the 5 this awards in the Olympic. And so he tells his story that how he became such a powerful wrestler. So he says when he was a child in his neighborhood, there is a small calf was born, small baby calf. Right? As a child, he'll go and lift the calf. And that was his daily routine. Small calf, he will go lift and just he'll play with him like that every day for 4 years. So after 4 years, he was lifting a fully grown up bull. So see how, if you go and try to lift a bull, you cannot lift. But from the beginning of when the child, that calf was born, he was lifting every day. So this is called the progressive overloading. A small, simple step. Take some simple step. Somebody think, okay, I have to get up a little early. So what time you are getting up? I get up at 9 o'clock. So what time you want to get up? 6 o'clock. I want to do it. It doesn't work. So if you are getting up at 9 o'clock and you think of getting up at 6 o'clock, tomorrow you cannot. Or probably tomorrow you will do. It doesn't work. So what you should do is maybe some 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early. So this is small, simple step, progressive overloading. So this is one simple formula to change the habit. So any kind of habit you want to change, do this formula, just little. So this is how the mind works. Mind should not understand that you have changed something, because our nature is, our mind nature is, it always take the least resistance path. This is the nature. This is how our design is. So you find anything there is a resistance, you immediately reject it. You say, no, it is not going to work. But you do something little small, 5 minutes early, you are getting up. It doesn't register in the mind that you are getting up early. And take your time and change the habit. So this is one simple formula. Let us understand another 3S formula. So these are the formulas here. Stay away from bad habits, number 1. So we are talking about certain triggers. There are many triggers, especially in connection with the bad habits. Like say, for example, a sincere student is very sincere in studies, but somehow he has the bad friends and the bad habits. So he's very focused, studying, planned. Suddenly, the friend comes or his phone comes. Say, what are you doing here? You have enough time to study. Let us go and spend some time for some party, some smoking, something like that. It's completely distracted. So we should understand what are the triggers that really drags us down into some bad habits. So first identify them and then try to stay away. Like say, for example, very relatable example is mobile phone. Now, this is the biggest enemy nowadays. It's a good friend also, but more than the friend, it acts like an enemy. So we work and we understand that, okay, there is some notification, there is some sound to something, and immediately you get distracted. So what you can do is you just put the notifications off or that sound off. And you make some time, okay, this time I'll check my WhatsApp, this time I'll check my email, some allocated time. So every second you are not distracted. So that way you consciously made the plan to stay away from the bad habits. It's like a bad thing. You are distracted every time. So something like that, a lot of triggers in your life, right? Now, another important item is starve your habits. So technically it is called disuse atrophy, this term. So simple example, like if we don't use, most of us, we use the right hand, and comparatively left hand is less used. So you will see the right hand is had more strength than the left hand. So the point is, if you don't use the left hand, say for some days you stop using the left hand, then what happens? Those muscles start dying and there will be no strength left in the hand. You won't be able to lift even a small weight also. On the other hand, the right hand you keep using, lift some weight and all that, the muscles will be very strong. So same goes with these habits. You starve your habit, it will, in the due course, it will die by its own. This is the nature of the habit. And the point is, it needs little determination. You don't do certain, like you do something repeatedly for 21 days, that muscle becomes strong. If you don't use this for another 21 days, again, this muscle will die. So this is how we can kill the bad habits slowly, gradually, not 100%, but the intensity will be reduced significantly. And another important item, the third S is simply just you starve your habit. Then again, what happens? It is just like you will crave. Inside you are craving. Externally, you are trying to be very strong. No, I should not do this. I should not do this. But you should give some alternate this thing. So that is why a supplement with good habits. Okay, don't associate with the bad people, but don't seclude yourself from the world and you start feeling depressed, start feeling lonely. So nobody is there to talk to me. All my friends gone. Then it is better to talk to some friends than talking to no one. So when you plan or you decide not to associate with the bad people, find some good people to associate with. Or when you want to give up something, right? Like some people, they eat some, what is that? Some tobacco and something. Here I don't see the people, but in India it is very common. You know, they keep doing, and they themselves understand that it is something bad habit. I want to give up. So then they're, when they stop doing this, then they need something because their conditioning is their mouth and their teeth. They feel like there should be something to chew. Okay, don't give the tobacco to chew, but then they say, okay, change it with something, some soft or something like that. There should be something. So we should always try to supplement with good habits. So this is 3S formula. Stay away from bad habits, starve your habits, that disuse atrophy, and supplement with good habits. A few more things in addition to this is, okay, how to do this 3S by 5Ds. So I'm going to ask at that last that what are the 3 S's and all these Ds. Okay, first of all, this discrimination. So we need to understand, we should have some sense. Last time we were talking about the Vivek Buddhi, right? Those who attended the last session. So Vivek Buddhi is that ability to discriminate what is good and what is bad. Sometimes people don't understand what is bad and they just keep doing that. They won't understand the consequences of all those bad actions. So first you understand, develop that discrimination. We'll talk about that, how to develop that discrimination. Last time also I hinted that discrimination power comes from the right intelligence. You have to sharpen your intelligence. And that sharpening happens from reading the scriptures. Scriptures will tell you what is right and what is wrong, what you should not be doing, what you should be doing. So you gradually, you develop the whole lot of perception. Now we have by default perceptions. Everything is good. The modern philosophy is eat, drink, be merry, and enjoy the life. Whatever comes to your mind, just GOG bharke, kind of a formula. It doesn't work. Read the scriptures. Scriptures will tell you what is right and what is wrong. You develop the Vivek Buddhi, discrimination. And then discipline. Now, what is this discipline? Discipline, how the discipline comes? Two things. You should be very, very clear in your purpose of what you're doing and follow the time. That is discipline. So you should know that why I'm doing this. Then you'll be inspired to continue that on the right time. So discrimination, discipline, determination. So these are all connected to the previous session. Those who did not attend, you can go and watch the recording. It is there on YouTube and was posted in the group also. So you'll understand that determination. What is the trigger for that determination? What helps to develop that determination? Right? There's a lot of different kind of shaktis are there in our body. So we can use those potential rightly and we can develop that determination. So discrimination, discipline, determination, then the right direction. Again, it comes from the scriptures. Then finally, devotion, devotional service. That will give you the whole lot of strength to develop the right habits. So these are the 5 Ds to practice the 3 S. Right? So let us understand this habit. What does this habit means? I will conclude with this point and then we'll open for the questions. So H stands for harmony of purpose. As we are talking about, should know about your purpose. If you really want to develop a good habit, then you should harmonize your purpose. Should understand what is the purpose and why it is important to do that. So it's very important to develop the habit. So one time, Bhaktivedanta Thakur Maharaj tells this story that one person who was into all drinking and non-veg eating. So somebody was, guiding him and preaching him, should not do all this drinking and meat eating and all that, you'll go to hell. But he says, actually, my father also eats meat and he also drinks. He said, father will also go to hell. He said, but my mother and everyone in my family, they eat meat and they drink. They all will go to hell. He said, but actually some of my friends also, they're into all this. They'll all will go to hell. He said, then what is the hell? When everybody is there, we'll do the party there. Right? So people, sometimes they don't know what is the purpose of their life. So you should understand, harmonize with the purpose. Right? So when we talk about this harmonizing the purpose, 3H, head, heart, and hand. So your head means it gives you the conviction, use your intelligence, right conviction for what you're doing. And then heart means there is motivation comes from the heart, and then hands means action. So they all should be in line, harmonize with your purpose. So that stands for H. And then this next A. A stands for accountability. So you consciously go and hold yourself accountable for what you do. Right? Or if you cannot do this, then make someone whom you can hold accountable for. So sometimes what happens, like controlling the mind means sometimes it goes crazy. So you keep yourself subject to accountable or report someone. Okay, you should go consciously and voluntarily go and report to someone that I didn't do this well. So this accountability plays a very significant role in building the right habits. Right? If you are not accountable, you do whatever, nobody is there to ask, nobody is there to report, then you'll continue to do that. So we can create this accountability. Right? So there was this person who was very miser by nature. Right? He will never spend any money. So one time I was walking with his friend, and his friend was thinking how to help him to that this much of miserliness is not good. He should have some big heart to do something, spend some money. When they're walking there close to some water pond, and he opened his purse, and that was his habit. Every time he'll check that something is not missing from my purse. So when he opened his purse, and some few cents fell off from his purse and directly fell into the water. Well, he was panicked by that. So without even thinking, he jumped into the water to get that, some cents back. And after jumping only, he realized that he doesn't know swimming. Right? So then he was throwing his hands up like that. Hey, please save me, save me, save me. So this friend of his, he was extending his hand and he says, hey, give me your hand. I'll just pull you out. Give me, give me, give me. But this person, he never had the habit and the concept of giving something. So he doesn't understand that vocabulary of giving. So it doesn't register to him. And this person is saying, give me your hand, give me your hand. And he was not responding. And another person he says, oh no, this person is very miserly. Probably tell him that take my hand. So he says, hey, take my hand, and immediately grab the hand. All right. So this story is a very instructive story, but the point is we should sometime, create those opportunities for ourselves to, hold ourselves accountable to someone. Somebody can be there to help us. So this is A, and then the B. This B is for breakless consistency. So even the Bhagavatam also talks about this concept. Bhagavatam says, ahetuki apratihata ye atma suprasidati savai pumsam parodharma yado bhakti. So this word apratihata means consistently. Whatever you do, do consistently. Break less, consistency. So this is how the same thing that I was giving the story of this wrestler who won the, these awards in the Olympic, this Mayo in Greece. So he was consistently lifting the scarf every day, right? So when you keep doing the things consistently, your muscles builds up. So when you do the right things, using your discrimination and consistently working, it will build a habit. Like for the devotees, they get up early in the morning, every day consistently without fail for Mangalarti. They chant 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mantra consistently. Whatever they do, every day Bhagavatam class, every day reading Prabhupada books. So initially it might be like it's a poison in the beginning, but it will be nectar in the end. It will form a habit. And then habit is the second nature. And one point you will be like, without chanting, without reading, without having Krishna's darshan, you cannot be. Your life you feel incomplete. So we can build up the right habits like that by break less consistency. Okay. And then this I is incremental improvement. So what is this incremental improvement? We already discussed about this.
10 minutes.
Yes. So yes, progressive overloading. Same thing. So instead of making a big change, do small change, incremental improvement. Right. So like that. And the T is trigger. Create some right triggers in your life for the good habits. So right triggers can be, one thing is time, I was giving the example. Another thing is the right association. So certain things triggers for good habits, like if you're in a bad association, it triggers to talk about some worldly things, some useless things. People will talk. As soon as you come in association with the devotees, it's a trigger. You will talk, oh, I was reading Bhagavad Gita, something was written like that. Can you explain this to me? I have a question. Can you explain this to me? So it's a trigger. So find the right trigger, the right association, right environment. Environment is more of like related to association, the right event, right place. So like that, those triggers will help you to develop the good habits in the due course. Right. So these are the few ways. So I'll just summarize that what we discussed in today's discussion. So we're talking about these habits. We are all the creatures of the habits, either good or bad. But it's not easy to change the habits. And there's an old saying that old habits die hard. You know the story of that person, the thief, going in the pilgrimage trip, and still, because of his bad habit, it was not easy for him. So like that. And then we spoke about the solution part. There are first 3 S. Okay, let me ask the 3 S. If you want to answer the 3 S, let me hide this first. What are the first 3 S? All right, small, simple steps. So you can remember this progressive overloading. And what is next 3 S? Stay away from bad habits. Second, stop your bad habits, disuse atrophy, and supplement with the good habits. So just don't starve yourself just like that. But more important is some positive engagement, right? So this positive engagement is be in the right association, be with the right people, which will trigger to practice some good habits. So the best association is the devotee association. When you're there, automatically, slowly, gradually, you will start building up some good habits, good thought process. Okay, and how to practice these 3 S? What are the 5 Ds? Discrimination, discipline, determination, directions, and devotion. So these are the 5 Ds which will help. So now few practices, as we are saying that if you really want to change your habits, you have to supplement it with the good habits. A few good habits and the best habits, not only good habits, is chanting the holy name systematically every day. Consistently you do that. You can start, those who are not chanting, you can start even if 1 round. Just make it a habit of chanting 1 round. So the right association, the right environment, the right place will help you to practice that kind of habit, right? Every day, just try to read maybe some 10 minutes Bhagavad Gita or any other book, Bhagavatam. There's so many literature given by Srila Prabhupada. So pick one every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something what works for you. If you're not reading, read that. So like that, you start building up some good habits. So you are building up the muscles, and then all the bad habits will automatically, they'll starve and they'll die, right? So these are the few points. Let me just pause here and see if anybody has any quick question or any comment on what we discussed. Those are online. Any questions, feel free to ask, or anyone here.
So habits we talked about, right? Making those habits. It, always it was told that at least I heard that cultivating habits when we are small, like the example, the visitor example you are giving. But for us, like who are already grown up, already in getting into the midst of 40s and all that, how will we make our habits stronger or cultivate more stronger? Because our potential is very less when compared to.
Right. Yeah. So it is difficult for a grown-up person to build up some new habits or practice something, but it's not impossible. So as we discussed, the discrimination and the desire, the discipline, the right association. Now, all of those things, we should take the advantage of all of that. And if it is not available, just do something. Find out that how you can have the access to the right association. The discrimination we're talking, it is more about reading the scriptures. So everything is available nowadays. If you cannot come to temple, somebody should read the books. Online you can read, you don't have the book. Everything is easily accessible. Come to temple if you can come every day. Come once in a week or whenever it works, come. Associate with the devotees, talk to them, take some inspiration. So gradually it can be done like that. But yeah, one should take the conscious efforts to do that. Yes, it is difficult, but it is not impossible to do that. Yeah. And the determination, and the most important thing is devotion. So in the devotion, what happens when you practice something devotional, then there is reciprocation from the Lord also. So when you show your, see, okay, so just to answer, we'll close with this story that how we are so subjected to, get distracted and all kinds of bad habits. How does it work? So somebody might wonder like, Prabhuji, at the end of the whole session, you come to the chanting only, right? So your agenda is chanting. No, but it is not an agenda. This is the truth. We should understand how does it work actually. Somebody says just by chanting, how I develop some good habits and all that. We can understand from Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has explained everything. So Krishna says in the 7th chapter, he explained the nature of this world. So he says there are two kinds of energies in this world, Parashakti and Aparashakti. So he explains, Bhumi Rapo Analavayu, Kammano Buddhirevacha, Ahankar Ityame, Minna Prakriti Rashtada. So he says earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. There are 8 energies which consist of this material world. So this material world is made out of that. Right? And then he says, beyond this, there is another Shakti. What is that Shakti? Aparaya mitastuanyam prakriti vidhi me param jiva bhuta mahabhavo edam dharyate jagat. He says the living entity, the soul, we are the Parashakti of the Lord. We are superior energy. So this 8 elements, they are inferior energy, and then we are all superior energies. But for both the energies, Krishna is the master. Okay, first we should understand this concept. Krishna is the owner of both the energies. Now, what is happening? Ideally, or hierarchy should be, Krishna explains in the 3rd chapter that, that first it should be the dead matter, then the senses and the mind, then intelligence and the soul. This is the actual hierarchy. But unfortunately, it has become upside down. All these senses are dragging us in all directions. We discussed in the previous chapter. So how to fix it? So we'll understand from the story. So this person, he goes to, somebody's house. One friend called another friend. So when he enters there, there was a note. There is a warning. Beware of dog. No, he was a little scared by seeing that. What is this dog? So a little careful, watchful. He was entering. He didn't find any dog there. Right. And then he was slowly, gradually, very consciously, he was going in. And then he opened the door. He didn't see any dog there. He didn't realize, but dog realized that there is someone. And then dog came running It's like some big dog, very dangerous, almost about to pounce. Now this person was completely taken aback. He don't know what to do now. So he thought, what should I do? Shall I run away? So in just 1 second, he calculated all this. If I run away, this dog is not gonna, I'm not gonna win with the dog running away. I cannot fight with this dog also. So then somehow by the Lord's inspiration, what triggers to him, he says, immediately I should call this, my friend, who is the master of this dog. So then he immediately shouted, hey, my dear friend, come here, your dog is just chasing me or attacking me. So as soon as the master of the dog comes, and he said, Tommy, and he said, and then dog is peacefully calming down, sitting down, surrendered fully. So similarly, this Maya is changing us in this world. This is the world of Maya. This energy. This is Maya. But if you surrender to the master of the Maya, which is Krishna. So Maya is changing you, scaring you, I'm distracted, I have the bad habit, this thing, that thing, how would I change myself? Here is the calling out for the master. Like the friend is calling, hey, come, your dog is chasing me. So when we say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare, you're calling the real master. So when you call the master, he can control the energy. He can control this dog. So this Maya is like a dog, chasing us, scaring us, and we don't know how to deal with it. So from the Bhagavad Gita, we learn how to deal with it. Krishna says, Devi Esha Gunamai, Mam Maya Duratya, Mameva Ye Prapadyante. One who surrenders to me, he can very easily cross over this Maya. So this is the secret given in the Bhagavad Gita. So one should make the point to read Bhagavad Gita every day. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour. You gradually start developing the taste. Then you'll feel like go on reading like that, right? And do this process. So that is how you're calling out the master. And then master is there, then this dog cannot harm you. That is how it works. So all these bad habits and all kinds of negativities, these are all Maya's traps. But if you surrender to Krishna, then Maya you can easily cross over. Okay. Any other questions? Anyone online? Okay. So if nobody has a question, so let us just call out the master by chanting Hare Krishna. We should practice this. We talk all these concepts, but most importantly is implementing, practicing it. And not only on the Saturday evening session here, every day. When you go back home, if you don't have the mala, take the mala from here. And if you don't know how to do, our volunteers can teach you how to do, take help. We have a lot of different forums where devotees can help you to every day join online, chant here and all of that. So just do some conscious efforts and you can benefit yourself tremendously. Right? So please make the point of chanting every day. Those who are not chanting, those who are chanting, that is great. And you can gradually improve your chanting and start reading if you're not reading. So these are the things which will really help us. So let us chant now.